Shabbat Shalom, everybody, and good Shabbos. It is, I don't know how to describe the weather here. Kind of wet and cloudy, and not wet, but drizzly wet. And I guess, is this typical winter?
Gray.
Yeah,
It's
typical
kind
winter,
of typical winter gray. All right, I know some of our viewers and people who tune in up in the Northeast have gotten a lot of snow. I know my mom has, and Patty Ann and Melanie, and all sorts of snow up that way. But I saw a couple snowflakes here yesterday walking to shul, so I consider myself lucky. But it is Shabbat. Hanukkah is officially over with the setting of the sun. We had 8 days of light, and it was wonderful doing it on Zoom and seeing lots of people and visiting and catching up with people that we haven't seen in a bit. But right now it is just Shabbat, and we are glad and blessed to be here. And so let's continue. Let's welcome Shabbat. A little bit of Kabbalat Shabbat, welcoming Shabbat, and we'll start by lighting the candles. And I have Sam right here. And the bracha for the candles is on page 2, and a reading on page 3.
As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we, by our lives, give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who kindled light, so may we in our own day be among those who kindle light. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahalik ner shel Shabbat.
Amen. Thank you, Sam. All right, let's begin on page 6. Page 6, reading responsively, the reading in the middle of the page. May the door of this synagogue be wide enough to receive all who hunger for love, all who are lonely for friendship.
May it welcome all who have cares to unburden, thanks to express, hopes to nurture.
May the door of this synagogue be narrow enough to shut out pettiness and pride, envy and enmity.
May its threshold be no stumbling block to young or straying feet.
May it be too high to admit complacency, selfishness, and harshness.
May this synagogue be, for all who enter, the doorway to a richer and more meaningful life.
All right, let us jump ahead to page 20. And we'll continue with Lecha Dodi, and as usual, verses 1 and 2, and 8 and 9. Lecha Dodi ligrat kala, Penei Shabbat nikabela. Lecha Dodi ligrat kala, Penei Shabbat nikabela. Shamor v'zachor b'dibor echad, Ishmi'anu el hamyuchad, Adonai echad u'shmo echad, L'shem u'tiferet v'litila, Lecha Dodi likrat kala, Penei Shabbat nikabela. Likrat Shabbat lechu v'nelcha, Ki mekor habracha, Merosh mikedem nesucha, Sof ma'aseh b'machshava tchila, Lecha Dodi likrat kala, Penei Shabbat nikabela. Yamin u'smol tifrotzi, V'et Adonai taharitzi, Al yadish ben partzi, V'nihi smecha v'nagila, Lecha Dodi likrat kala, Penei Shabbat nikabela. Bohi v'shalom ateret bala, Gam b'simcha uv'tzola, toch emunei am segula, bo'ichala, lecha dodi likrat kala, penei Shabbat nikavila. Let's turn the page to 22 and read a selection, or the opening part of a psalm, a song for Shabbat. Let's read this together. It is good to praise Adonai, to sing hymns to your name, O Most High, to proclaim your steadfast love at daybreak, your faithfulness each night. With a 10-stringed harp, with voice and lyre together, you have gladdened me by your deeds, Adonai. I shout for joy your handiwork. How great are your works, Adonai, how very subtle your designs. A brute cannot know, a fool cannot understand this. Let's go back to the indented Hebrew. Tzadika tamar yifrach, ke'erez balvanon yiske shetuli beveit Adonai. Bechatzrot Eloheinu yafrichu od yenuvun b'seva d'shenim v'ra'ananim yiyu lehagid Ki ashar Adonai tzuri v'lo havlatabo. Let's continue on page 24, welcoming the angels who come to spend Shabbat with us. Shalom Aleichem. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei HaSharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malachei Amlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem l'shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech Malachei Amlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruch Hu l'shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech Malachei Amlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tzeitchem l'shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech Malachei Amlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Let's continue on page 145 as we enter into the Arvit, into the evening service. Page 145, Chatzi Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, v'yalma divrach Yerutei v'yamlik malchutei, b'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael, bahagala, uv'izman kariv, v'yimeru amen. Yehi Shmei Rabba Mevorach Le'olam Lo Me'almaya Yitbarach V'yishtabach V'yitpar V'yitramam V'yitnaseh V'yitadar V'yitalev V'yitalal Shmei Dekudesha Brichu Le'ela Min Kol Birchata V'shirata Tushbechata v'nechemata Daham mihiran be'alma, v'yimheru, amen. Page 146, Baruch Hu. Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach leolam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach leolam va'ed. Let's continue responsively on page 147. Adonai, your majesty is proclaimed by the marvels of earth and sky. Sun, moon, and stars testify to your power and wisdom.
Day follows day, and in the succession of the years vanish, but your sovereignty endures.
Though all things pass, let not your glory depart from us. Help us to become co-workers with you and endow our fleeting days with abiding worth. Baruch atah Adonai ha'ma'ariv aravim. Page 148, Ahavat Olam. Ahavat Olam Beit Yisrael Amcha Ahavta Torah u'mitzvot chukim u'mishpatim otanu limadeta al kein Adonai Eloheinu b'shochbeinu uvkumeinu nasiach bechukecha v'nismach b'divrei Toratecha uv'mitzvotecha le'olam va'ed ki heim chayenu v'orech yameinu v'orech yameinu Uvahem nehege yomam v'layla, yomam v'layla. Ve'ahavatcha al tasir mimenu li'olamim. Baruch atah Adonai, ohev amo Yisrael. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol meodecha v'hayu advarim ha'eleh Asher Anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam b'shivtecha b'veitecha uvlektecha v'derech uv'shokbecha uv'kumecha ukshartam liot al yadecha V'hayu letotafot beineinecha uchtavtam al mezuzot beitecha uvisharecha leman tizkaruhu v'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'tem kedoshim lelohechem ani Adonai Elohechem Asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim liot lachem le'Elohim ani Adonai Elohechem. And let's read responsively on page 151. We worship the power that unites the universe, a promise of harmony for all.
Yet that oneness eludes our grasp as imperfection and evil abound.
Before our eyes, there is a vision of perfection, order, and goodness.
There is evil enough to break the heart, and there is good enough to exalt the soul.
When will redemption come?
Who would grant everyone what we claim for ourselves.
Long ago, we escaped the tyranny of Egypt. Our people saw the power of the Most High.
We learned God's presence redeems time and event, so we celebrate this power that makes for freedom.
Top of page 152, Mi Chamocha. Mi chamocha b'lim Adonai, Mi kamocha nedar bakodesh Nohorati lod Ohosefele Malchutecha ra'u vanecha Bokeyam lifnei Moshe Ze Eli anu v'yamru Adonai yimloch leolam va'ed V'ne'emar kifad Adonai et Yaakov Ugalo mi'el chazak mimenu Baruch atah Adonai Ga'al Yisrael. Let's continue on the top of page 153 with the first two lines of Hashkivenu. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom V'hamidenu shomreinu l'chaim. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom V'hamidenu shomreinu l'chaim. And let's read together in the English. Give us a place to rest, O God. Shelter us in the long, soft evening shadows of your truth. You are true protection and safety. In your presence we find love and acceptance. Watch over us as we go forth. Prepare for us as we return. Spread over us your shelter of peace, over all we love, over our Jerusalem and yours. Baruch atah Adonai, Aporei Sukkot Shalom Aleinu, V'al Kol Amo Yisrael, V'al Yerushalayim. Page 154, we'll continue with Vishamru. Vishamru B'nei Yisrael et HaShabbat La'asot et HaShabbat Ledorotam Berit Olam Vishamru B'nei Yisrael et HaShabbat La'asot et HaShabbat Ledorotam Berit Olam Beini uvein b'nei Yisrael, oti liolam. Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et HaShabbat. La'asot et HaShabbat ledorotam berit olam. Ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai et hashamayim v'et haaretz v'shamru v'nei Yisrael et hashabbat la'asot et hashabbat ledorotam berit olam. Uvayom hashvi'i shavat vayinafash, shavat vayinafash, v'shamru b'nei Yisrael et hashabbat la'asot et hashabbat ledorotam berit olam. All right, we're going to continue with the Amidah, the main prayer for the evening service on Shabbat. We're going to begin on page 155 and chant 155, 156, and 157 together. And then we'll go silently 158 through the end on 167. You can chant along in the Hebrew, read the English, or offer up your own prayer at this time. But we begin 155. Adonai sifatai tiftachu fi yagi tehilatecha. Adonai sifatai tiftachu fi yagi tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor, Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'Kozei HaKol, V'Zocher Chasdei Avot V'Imahot, U'Mevi Goel Livnei V'neihem, Leman Shemo B'Ahava, Melech Ozer Moshiach U'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham, V'Ezrat Sarah, Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, Mechayei Metim Hatara V'Hoshia, Mashiv HaRuach U'Morid HaGashem, Mechalkei Chaim B'Chesed, Mechayei Metim B'Rachamim Rabim, Sohomech Noflim V'Rofech Holim, Umatir Asurim, Umekahayem Emunato, Lishenei Afar, Michamocha Bal Givurot, Umhito Melach, Melech Meimito Mechayeh, Umatzmiach Yeshua, V'ne'aman atah l'chayot ha'itim, Baruch atah Adonai, Mekayeh ha'metim. All right. If you're still completing your Amidah, please continue at your own pace. We're going to continue on page 160, reading together in the middle of the page. May these hours of rest and renewal open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth. May all who struggle find rest on this day. May all who suffer find solace. May all who hurt find healing on this day. May all who despair find purpose. May all who hunger find fulfillment on this day, and may we all live in such a way that this day fulfill its promise. Baruch atah Adonai Mekadesh HaShabbat. Let's jump ahead to 163, a little bit of hoda'ah, a little bit of gratitude. Hakarat HaTov, coming out of Hanukkah, we have a lot to be thankful for. And let's read responsively on the top of 163. For the good in us, which calls us to a better life, we give thanks.
For the strength to improve the world with our hearts and our hands, we offer praise.
For the desire in us, which leads us to work for peace, we are grateful.
For life and nature, harmony and beauty, for the hope of tomorrow, all praise to the source of being.
Let's turn the page to 164 as we close out our Amidah with Shalom Rav. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Hamcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Hamcha Tasim Leolam. Ki atahu melech adon lechol hashalom. Ki atahu melech adon lechol hashalom. Shalom rahav al Yisrael hamcha tasim leolam. Shalom Rahav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. V'tov be'enecha levarech et Amcha Yisrael B'chol eit u'v'chol sha'ah b'shlomecha. Shalom Rahav al Yisrael Hamcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rahav al Yisrael Hamcha Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam. And let's read responsively in the English. Grant us peace, your most precious gift, O eternal source of peace, and give us the will to proclaim its message to all the peoples of the earth. Bless our country as a safeguard of peace, its advocate among the nations. May contentment reign within our borders, health and happiness within our homes.
Strengthen the bonds of friendship and fellowship among all the inhabitants of our world. Plant virtue in every soul, and may the love of your name hallow every home and every heart.
Praised are you, Adonai, who blesses your people with peace. Baruch atah Adonai, hamivorech et amo Yisrael, b'shalom. Now we're going to jump ahead to page 253 for the Mishaberach, for the prayer for those who are ill. If you have anyone who needs a little extra TLC this week, keep them close to your heart and in your thoughts as we continue in the middle of the page, 253, Mishaberach. Mishaberach avotenu mikor habracha le'imotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mishaberach imotenu mikor habracha le'avotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema. the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen. Let's continue on 258 and 259 with the prayer for our congregation, for our country, and for Jerusalem, and for Medinat Yisrael, the state of Israel. And let's read these together. Source of all being, may the children of this community learn these passions from us, love of Torah, devotion in prayer, and support of the needy. May we guide with integrity, and may our leadership be in your service. May those who teach and nourish us be blessed with satisfaction, and may we appreciate their time and their devotion. Bless us with the fruits of wisdom and understanding, and may our efforts bring fulfillment and joy. Baruch atah Adonai, she'otecha levadcha b'yirah na'avod. Thus says Adonai, this is what I desire, to unlock the fetters of wickedness and untie the cords of lawlessness, to let the oppressed go free, to break off every yoke. Share your bread with the hungry and take the wretched poor into your home. When you see the naked, give clothing, and do not ignore your own kin. If you banish the yoke from your midst, the menacing hand, the evil speech, if you offer compassion to the hungry and satisfy the famished creature, then your light shall shine in darkness. Avinu Shabbat Tzur Yisrael v'Go'olo, Barech et Medinat Yisrael, Reshit Tzmichat Ge'ulatenu, Hagen Aleha B'Yavrat Chasdecha, Ufros Aleha Sukat Shlomecha, Ushlach Orcha V'Yamitecha L'Rasheha, Soreha V'Yoetzeha, V'Takneim B'Eitzah Tova Milfanecha, V'Natata Sholom Ba'aretz, V'Simchat Olam Liyoshveha, V'Nomar Amen. O Heavenly One, Protector and Redeemer of Israel, bless the state of Israel, which marks the dawning of hope for all who seek peace. Shield it beneath the wings of your love, spread over it the canopy of your peace. Send your light and truth to all who lead and advise, guiding them with your good counsel. Establish peace in the land and the fullness of joy for all who dwell there. Amen. All right, friends, Shabbat Shalom and good Shabbos. This week, it's Parshat Miketz. We are starting to wind down the book of Genesis, the book of Bereshit, and with it, the story of Yosef. And in this particular Parsha, Yosef's adventures in Egypt continue. Right? We have Pharaoh's famous dreams, the dreams in which the cows come out of the Nile, 7 fat cows that are then devoured by 7 lean cows, and 7 full ears of corn are then eaten or devoured by 7 scorched corn stalks. And he calls his intelligentsia to him, and they can't interpret it. And the cupbearer remembers Yosef from when he was in prison, and Yosef interpreting dreams there. So Pharaoh calls Yosef, and Yosef says, yeah, the dreams are pretty easy to interpret. You're going to have 7 good years, followed by 7 bad years, 7 years of famine. And that's basically what your dreams mean. And so Yosef is then placed in charge during the 7 full years, and he does very well. And so he winds up, becoming second really to Pharaoh at the time. So now during this famine, right, this famine is all across the land and it extends into the land of Canaan. And so Jacob sends his sons without Benjamin, right? He's learned his lesson, right? He sent Yosef out to deal with the brothers, and Yosef never came back. And so because Benjamin is the last of his sons, and it's the one that was born of his favorite wife, the last one born of his favorite wife, he doesn't send Benjamin with them. So the brothers go down to Mitzrayim, they go down to Egypt, and Yosef recognizes them. As soon as they get there, he recognizes them, but they don't recognize him. And he accuses them of being spies, right? He starts to work some vengeance out on them, right? So instead of rushing up to them and saying, "Hey, look, I'm Yosef, you know, your brother. Look, I've done well." He decides he's going to twist the knife a little bit into their backs and accuses them of spying on Egypt. And they tell him, "No, it's not even remotely like that. We are coming from Canaan, the land of Canaan. We have an older father and we have a young brother, and we just came down to get food." And so what Yosef does is he immediately grabs Shimon, one of his older brothers, and says, "Okay, pay me for the food." They pay him for the food. He gives them the food and sends them on their way, leaving Shimon behind. And he says, as they're leaving, "Oh, by the way, if you come back, you have to bring your younger brother with you." And Yosef knows that they probably will come back for food, and he wants them to bring Benjamin back. So they leave, and as they're heading back home, they look into their bags and everything, and they see that Yosef had put the money that they paid for the food back into their camel bags or their satchels. The famine worsens, and so Yaakov sends the brothers back for more food. And Yehuda, right? This is Ruvain, and then Yehuda and Shimon and Levi are the top four brothers, the first four brothers. This time Yehuda says, "Hey, I'll take care of Benjamin. We have to take him with us. I promise you, Pops, we'll take care of him. Or I will. I take the pledge. I'll keep Benjamin safe." So they get there. Yosef sees them, sees that Benjamin is with them, and he immediately releases Shimon. Yes, he said he would. Okay, bring the younger one back. I'll release Shimon. And he throws his brothers a banquet. He invites them to this big banquet. And he orders that the brothers' bags be filled with food, that they get the food again. And he also secretly places one of his golden cups into Benjamin's bag. And the brothers, thank him for his hospitality, and they obviously, they still don't know it's Yosef, and they head out on their way. They're going back home. And Yosef sends his chief steward after them, who stops them and says, "Hey, we've been nothing but nice to you. Why would you steal something from us?" And of course, the brothers have no idea what's going on, right? They don't know it's Yosef. They don't know that there's this golden goblet in Benjamin's bag. And so the cup is found right there. And the brothers are returned back to Yosef, right? Because it looks on all fronts that Benjamin has stolen something from Yosef. And the parsha ends with Yosef saying, "All right, yeah, you guys can go, but I'm going to keep Benjamin. I'm going to keep Benjamin as a slave because he ganeft from me. He stole from me." Of course, Yosef used the Yiddish ganeft. So he releases the brothers, sends them back home, and he sends them to go back home, and it looks like he's going to keep Benjamin, and this is a cliffhanger, right? Because what's going to happen? Are the brothers going to go home, having lost yet another favored child of Yaakov? Or is somebody going to stand up and say, "You know what? Don't keep Benjamin"? We'll see that next week. We'll see how this unfolds. So we've recently completed Hanukkah. Actually, Hanukkah ended just as the sun went down. And we talk a lot about the nace, the miracle, right? If you've ever played dreidel or if you've spun the dreidel, you know that there are 4 letters on the dreidel that you spin, right? A nun, a gimel, a hey, and a shin if you live outside of Israel, right? And it means Nes Gadol Haya Sham. A great miracle took place there, Sham. But if you're in Israel, or if you have an Israeli dreidel, they don't really call them dreidels there. They call them savivon, right? Spinning things that spin. It's Nes Gadol Haya Po. A great miracle happened here, right? So, we talked a lot about the miracle of the oil and how it burned instead just not one day, but it burned for 8 days. And during Hanukkah, we've had our own miracle in the country, right? We've got finally a vaccination or vaccine for COVID, right? So we could say that during Hanukkah, Nes Gadol Haya Po, right? A great miracle took place here, right? And it's interesting thinking about the vaccine is the original vaccine or the prototype for Pfizer's vaccine was, I don't know if you say you invent a vaccine or create a vaccine, but they found the vaccine. It was 2 Germans of Turkish descent who kind of cracked that vaccine code. And now, we're on the cusp of having 2 vaccines for us. So I was thinking a lot this week with Hanukkah and the vaccine. What exactly is a nace? What exactly is a miracle? Right. So I have this very, very thick English dictionary in my office, and so I went to it, and they gave 3 or 4 different types of definitions for a miracle. Sadly, the English dictionary had nothing under the word nace. Under the word miracle, or the Hebrew word for miracle. But basically what the gist was, something ascribed to a supernatural cause. That's the boiled down version of a miracle. And I can see that. I really can see that. And, if you read our Torah, or if you read deeper into the Bible, you see that miracles happen to our people all the time. Right? A lot of miracles happen in the Bible and are recounted in the Bible. But there's a thing about miracles in the Bible, especially miracles in the Torah. It's not just God acting, right? We're part of the miracle. One of my favorite stories in the Torah is the parting of the Yam Suf, the parting of the Sea of Reeds. All right, so we know the story. Bnei Yisrael has just escaped from Pharaoh. Or not escaped, escaped is a good word because Pharaoh wasn't a nice guy, but Pharaoh let them go. And then as soon as they left, Pharaoh changed his mind and he sets off in chase. And so they're going through, they're slightly ahead of Pharaoh, slightly ahead, and then they come up to the Yam Suf, they come up to the Sea of Reeds, and they don't know how to cross, right? They don't know how deep it is. They don't have a boat. There's not a ferry waiting for them. So they start to lament because they look over their shoulders and they see Pharaoh in the distance getting closer and closer and closer. And so they cry out to Moshe. And now Moshe's kind of upset because he doesn't know what to do. He's supposed to lead them. And here they are between Pharaoh and a wet place. And so he goes to God and he cries out to God. And God answers with the best line in the entire Torah. God says, "Why are you crying out to me? Tell them to move. Tell them to move forward." Right? God says, don't sit here crying and lamenting to me that you're by this Yam Suf. Have them start moving. And then there's this great midrash that says a fellow named Nachshon ben Aminadav decides that, everybody's waiting, or, this group is saying, you go, and the other group saying, no, you first. And this one, Nachshon decides he's going to walk into the Yam Suf. So he walks in up to his ankles and nothing happens. He walks up to his knees, nothing happens. He walks up to his waist, nothing happens. He walks up to his shoulders, nothing happens. And his next step, he's going to be completely submerged. And so instead of turning back, he takes that step. And as soon as he takes that step, the waters part. And Bnei Yisrael crosses, and we know the rest of that story. But in order to trigger the miracle, we had to do something. Fast forward now to the miracle of Hanukkah. right? Because there's a double miracle with Hanukkah. There's the military victory of a small group called the Maccabees, and how they defeated a much more superior an armed force. They defeated the Greeks. And we know that they were probably, angry and upset that, the Greeks were controlling them, that Israel was becoming assimilated. And so instead of sitting back and just complaining and saying, oh, terrible, terrible, Eve is on, right? Or Eve, right? It's a shame that all this is happening. This small group called the Maccabees decides that they're going to take action. And by taking action, they kick off the great miracle of defeating the Greeks. And then they get to the temple and they restore the temple and they want to light the menorah, but they don't have enough oil for it. But they have one cruse. And so while everybody's standing around, what do we do? What do we do? If we light it, it's only going to light for a day, but we need more oil and it's going to take a number of days before we can create it. What are we going to do? Do we sit here in the darkness? Do we do that? And they argued back and forth. And finally, some guy just went up and lit it. And lighting that cruse of oil kick-started the miracle that allowed the oil to burn for 8 days. If nobody lit the oil, we'd still be sitting in the temple in the dark, lamenting the fact that we only have one cruse of oil. Right? Action is needed. And it's the same with the vaccine. Right? People could have said, oh, it's terrible, it's horrible, it's this, it's that. We'll never have a vaccine. It'll take too long. It'll be this, it'll be that. And yet people went into labs and acted, kickstarting the miracle that is science, the miracle that is medicine, and created a vaccine. The history of miracles for us as Jews is inextricably tied into both faith and action. Faith by itself isn't enough. Sometimes action by itself isn't enough. We have to marry the two together, faith and action. Faith that what we're doing is the right thing, and then the action of doing that thing. That's when the miracles happen. Sitting back in a synagogue, sitting back in a church, sitting back in a mosque, and simply praying to the Creator to send us a solution, at least for me, in my definition of a miracle, that doesn't work. Because we have to take part in it. Yes, we can pray. Yes, we can have faith. That's part of it. But then we also we need the courage to act. We have to go out and work towards what we want. All right, so, one of the things that as a rabbi always, chafes me a little bit is that a lot of people sit in their houses of worship and pray for peace and never do anything. I'm not saying that's all people. I'm not saying that that's the vast majority, but there's a significant number of people who pray for peace, and yet once they leave their house of worship, they don't do anything about it, expecting peace to miraculously happen. Think about it. Think about it, the Turkish-German scientists, doctors who said, you know what? We'll just have faith that somewhere along the line, Corona will take care of itself. Or the Maccabees, or Moses and the children of Israel, Nachshon ben Aminadab. If they didn't act, where would we be? A miracle. The marriage between faith and action that changes the world. Shabbat Shalom and good Shabbos.
Shabbat Shalom.
All right, Sam, what time is it? It's time for Kiddush. Yes, see? I learned my lesson. Last week I said, no, we do Kiddush after. No, we do Kiddush before Aleinu. And so, I have to find the page. I think it's way back on page 4 and page 5. Right, page 4 and page 5. Kiddush. Vayehi Erev, Vayehi Voker, Yom Hashishi. Vayechulu Hashamayim v'haaretz v'chol tzevam. Vayechal Elohim bayom hashvi'i melachto asher asa. Vayishbot bayom hashvi'i mikol melachto asher asa. Vayavarech Elohim et yom hashvi'i. Vayikadesh oto. Kivo shavat mikol melachto asher bara Elohim la'asot. Savri. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech olam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho b'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu zikaro lema'aseh v'reishit ki hu yom techila lamikra'ei kodesh Zecher letziat Mitzrayim. Kivanu v'acharta v'otanu kidashta mikol ha'amim v'shabbat kodshecha v'ahava uvratzon inchaltanu. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh Shabbat. Page 282. Aleinu. Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol hatet gedula liotzer breshit shelo asanu kagoye haratzot velo samanu k'mishpachot hadama shelo sam chelkeinu kahem v'gohor aleinu kechol hamonam anachnu korim Umishtachavim umodim lifnei melech malchei hamlachim hakadosh baruch hu shehu notes shamayim v'yoser haaretz umoshav yikaro bashamayim himal ushchinatu zo begovhei meromim Hu Eloheinu Einot, Emet Malkeinu Efezulato, Kakahatu V'Torato, V'Yadata Hayom V'Hashevota, Elevavecha, Ki Adonai Hu Elohim, Bashamayim V'Mahal, V'Haaretz Mitacha Einot. Let's read together on page 285. Let the time not be distant, O God, when all shall turn to you in love, when corruption and evil shall give way to integrity and goodness, when superstition shall no longer enslave the mind, nor idolatry blind the eye. O may all created in your image become one in spirit and one in friendship, forever united in your service. Then shall your realm be established on earth, and the word of your prophet fulfilled. Adonai will reign forever and ever. V'nehemar v'haya Adonai l'melech al kol haaretz. Bayom hahu, Yeh Adonai echad. Ushemo echad. This week we observed the following yahrzeits: Alice Curran, Howard's mother; Peter Island, Ed's son; Joseph Elswick, Pat Johnson's great-great-grandfather; Lydia Hess, Tamara Murphy's grandmother; Anna Kaplan, wife of Sam, mother of Betsy and Stephen, Pauline's sister-in-law; Charles Levine, husband of Loretta, father of Leanne and Amy; Helen Robbins, Howard Feinberg's maternal grandmother; Selma Footlick Galpin, Betty Kolker's mother; Morton Turetsky, Tori Witcher's stepfather; Marge Halstead, Karen Kolker's mother; Helen Lipfeld Siegel, Alan's mother; Samuel Mansbach, son of Joe; Marie Levinson Bachman, Frida Kagan's sister; Albert Levine, Marilyn Cohen's father; David Koros, son of Betty; Rosemarie Levy, Bob Levy's aunt; Sarah Levy, Bob and Lois's mother; Sylvia Levy Polak, Bob Levy's aunt. May their souls be bound up with the bond of life eternal. May their memories be a blessing to us always, and may they all rest in peace. Mourner's Kaddish is found on page 294. Yitkadal, Yitkadash, Shemei Rabbah, V'alma divrach hirute, v'amlik malchute, B'chayecho, v'yomecho, Uvchaye dechol Beit Yisrael, Ba'agala v'zman kariv v'imru Amen. Yehi Shmei Rabbah Mevorach Le'olam L'Omeil Maya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yithadar v'yitaleh v'yithalal Shmei Dekudesha Brichu. Le'elam min kol birchata v'shirata. Tushbachata v'nechemata da'amiram v'alma v'imru Amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru Amen. Oseh shalom b'mrumav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru Amen. All right, everyone, Shabbat Shalom and good Shabbos. I want to thank Sam and James for being here this evening, and Sam being my tech guru. Services tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. and then again on Sunday at 9. And then Wednesday, it's a quiet week here. No class on Sunday. We're going to take a little bit of a break and come back in January with a course called Battling Brothers. Battling Brothers. We're going to look at sibling relationships in the book of Genesis. And it's an interesting exploration. So that'll happen in January. So we're going to be quiet now this week. Wednesday, the Best Little Yiddish Choir Anywhere meets at 7 p.m. And get your Yiddish on. Come and sing and enjoy, make new friends, visit with old friends. It's a good time. It's a good time. I think that's it, Sam.
I think it is, yeah.
Although the 25th is Friday, I believe. Yes. And the office will be closed. Martha won't be in on the 25th. So it's Christmas, right? It's Christmas. Traditionally a time where Jews go and get Chinese food and go to the movies. Yep. Although I don't know what we're going to do in COVID. The Chinese you can still get. You can get takeaway Chinese. The movies, I'm not so sure. But that's where we have Netflix, Hulu, BritBox, Acorn. Those are the only important ones. So that's it. I think I got everything. So all right, we're going to close out this evening on page 321 with Adon Olam. Adon Olam Asher Malach B'terem Kol Yitzir Nivra Li'et Nasa B'chefso Kol Azai Melech Shemo Nikra V'yacharei Kichlot HaKol Levado Yimloch Nora Vehu Haya Vehu Hoveh Vehu Yeh B'tifara Vehu Echad Ve'en Sheni L'hamshilo L'hachbira B'li Reshit B'li Tachlit V'lo Ha'oz V'ha'misra Vehu Eli V'chai Goali V'tzor Chevli B'yetzara Vehu nisi humanosli menat kosi b'yom ekra b'yahado afkid ruchi b'eti shan b'yahira v'im ruchi geviyati Adonai li v'lo ira. All right, let's see. It's kind of like romper room. All right, let's see who was in. Patty Ann from Brooklyn says, good Shabbos, everyone. It was great finally meeting a batch of you this week for Hanukkah candle lighting on Zoom. Zeph Raphaim says, Shabbat Shalom. Melanie, also from Brooklyn, says, it's a good Shabbos in spite of all the snow. Same to all you Southerners. Well, West Virginia is not really South, is it?
Not really.
Not really. No, and they were part of the Union. So, Jenny Bro, Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Hope your Hanukkah was bright. Thank you, Jenny. Same to you. Judith Lenz, Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Patty Ann, it was great meeting you as well. All right, everybody, have a great Shabbat, a Shabbat Shalom, and a good Shabbos, and we'll see you soon.